Your video is not going to get anywhere if people aren't watching it. We call this video retention rate. It refers to how long somebody watches your video. And it really doesn't matter how great your content is. You could be delivering a Winston Churchill speech. Is it Churchill or Churchill? I have no idea the way that these Brits pronounce things. I'd love to hear from you if you're across the pond. But look, have you ever actually listened to a Winston Churchill speech? I put you asleep. That's actually how I put my kids to sleep is, we shall fight on the sea, we shall fight on the shore. In fact, it wasn't until they started editing and chopping up Churchill's speeches that they became really popular globally. And your video works the same way. Whether you're a business owner, a service provider, a coach, a chiropractor, if you're not constructing your message in a productive way, the message isn't getting across. And so you need to be paying attention to editing tricks that will increase your video retention rate, get you more views, more traffic, and more sales with video. Today on the show, we've got a guest who's going to share her expertise in video editing to help make your videos better. Stay tuned, folks. It's the Business of Video podcast.
You're listening to the Business of Video podcast, where the world's top YouTubers and marketers talk about what's working with online video. This podcast is recorded live on Facebook every week, and you can join us when you visit businessofvideopodcast.com. And now your hosts, Owen Video and Nick Newman.
Welcome back to the Business of Video podcast, where business owners and marketers share their video marketing campaign strategies. I'm Owen Video here with Nick Nimmin, and we're live every Wednesday on Facebook, YouTube, and iTunes. And you can join us each week when you give me 5. That's right, just type 5 into the comment section now. That will subscribe you on Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube or iTunes, just click that big old subscribe button so that you don't fall behind, but instead move ahead with online video marketing. Nick, you look fantastic today in your blue shirt. I just can't tell you what blue does something for you.
You know what? Thank you, Owen. I appreciate that. I think that you also look amazing. The sound is a little bit rough right now, but you absolutely look fantastic without question. I appreciate the compliments on the blue. It makes me feel warm inside.
It does.
That you look good on me. Or that it does something for me. You said does something for me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, so I'm just going to assume that it's good just to be on the safe side.
It's interesting that you say that because it actually makes me feel warm inside too. Like looking at you in blue, I feel like I'm at home, like I'm in a safe space, and that I can say how I feel. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad our audience is here to join us today. I know Beanie Draws is out there. How's my audio sounding today, guys? Let me tell you something. I want to give you guys a sneak peek into what goes on in the life of a creator business owner, right? So we have a multi-six-figure business. We just brought on a huge client yesterday. Somebody, a company that you all know the name of, and that's why we don't like throw it out there and get too crazy with it. But you know, on top of running a business, right, bringing on a staff, and our staff has kids, and so we make our home sort of a place that the kids can come in. And you know, I've got kids myself; they're at school during the day, but they play in their room, and there's toys there, and so there's so much going on. This morning is no exception. I mean, I was literally putting in my earpiece. I wear an earpiece for the show, and everything like right now, like it was all coming together at the last minute, which is, I think, part of the joy and the pain of video creation for your company. Nick, what do you think? Are you ever find yourself in that position?
I totally agree, man. And here's the thing, like when it comes to all of this stuff, you know, like when you're doing stuff,
yeah,
things are going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm going, like in your case, right? It's like, hey, I'm jumping from this stream to this stream to like this video, working with a client to this client call to doing like a group call inside the YouTube Academy to 100%. This, that, and the other thing. And because of that, it's like there's just so much going on that from time to time, you know, you run into stuff. You know, and I think that that's just part of the thing, you know, when it comes to all of this. I mean, even if you don't have a lot going on, you know what I mean? Even if it's like on our Saturday live stream, for example, that we do, sometimes we'll go and we'll have 2 hours of prep time to where we get everything ready and all of that, and we're like, okay, it seems good, but we just happen to overlook something for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and then it comes on, and our like something just isn't the way that it should be or whatever. It's just part of the thing, and I think that's awesome when it comes to live, just in general, is just how like this is situation right now, right? Like right. There's been like a little. And then we've been able to like talk about it and just kind of keep the whole thing rolling and progress forward and turn it into a lesson instead of it becoming like a big deal, which I think is absolutely.
Oh, 100%. I love that. And really that's a message for anybody out there creating video. It is a pain in the butt. So is this mic just not doing it today? So we've got some mic problems. You guys can probably hear it, and if you're listening on the podcast, you're probably going to hear that audio. But I'll tell you what, the show must go on, right? I mean, at the end of the day, here I am. I'm putting a new mic on as we speak, and we're gonna make this work. How does that sound? Does that sound better?
Yeah, sounds much better. Yeah, like Holly said, that definitely for Nim and Live, like we need a checklist for sure. I think that's another thing, Holly, that happens with all of us. It's like you get into like the routine of putting this stuff together,
right?
And then it's like, okay, I know to do this, I know to do this, I know to do this. That even like I actually used to have a checklist over here for like doing videos, but then it's become such a thing that's been ingrained in my brain to where
it's like secondhand.
I still have a checklist. Because I, from time to time, I'll forget to, add cards to a video or something crazy. Even though I've added them to, hundreds and hundreds of videos, it's still something that just kind of, for whatever reason, your brain just isn't quite there. So even with, video production and uploading videos, having a checklist is definitely a good way to go. And even inside of TubeBuddy, they actually have that as well, to where you can actually tap into the checklists of other creators to make sure that you're optimizing your stuff and, things like that. So I think it's great.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, right now Nick's dropping stuff. I have a cough in my throat. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the last thing I want to do is like hack it out on live live camera. Yeah. The funny thing is I just got used to spitting all over my screen. I don't know. Do any of you guys live streamers have that issue where you spit all over your screen? Let me know in the comment section. We're glad to have you here. Holly Gillen says, I'm a pro and I still use my checklist and planner, but do you still spit all over your screen? For me, like I'm at a place where I'm comfortable with this. I've come to learn that the audience can't really see it. And I have cleaner next to my desk. Norma Angelica is saying, hey, Nick, Rafael Estrada. Great to see you, Raph. You can type 5 in the comment section. Same with you, Norma and Holly. Type 5 now. You'll subscribe to the show. We'll send you alerts each time Nick and I go live. Teresa, my wife, who is in the next room, is saying, drink some coffee. It will kill the cough sensation. Norma is saying that she wants to learn. And the apostle, Tamar MacGyver, is still here. I got to tell you, every time MacGyver shows up on the show, I think we're in for a good day. I don't know about you, Nick, but that's where I come from.
Something. It makes me want to take this, and this, and figure out how to make a car out of it. yeah. Or a water bong. Maybe that's for a different show. That's a whole different thing. I'm sure somebody watching. Nick has put up a picture of a water bottle. I swapped out some of the components.
We just brought on a new client yesterday, and they have sort of this like mad scientist feel to their brand. And so we were looking up sound effects to use in their opening, and we found this really cool like bubbler, right? This bubbler sound effect, and you can imagine the sounds that conjured up, right? Some people left it in the past. I left it at college. Want to say what's up to your real estate whisperer. Hey, quick, everybody, if you could, Facebook or YouTube, even if you're on iTunes, just like bomb this video right now for Christina Mellinghorn, Smallhorn Dillinger. Christina, your real estate whisperer recently won an award for best use of video in the real estate industry. She's a big fan of the show. I know she follows our content, and she's been doing great work for a long time. So congratulations, Christina, on that. Kathy Fitt logging in. Great to have you here. Scott Donald is saying Church Hill is the way to say it. Doing It with Jason is saying it's the hottest guys on YouTube. You absolutely got it right. Dean Linnell, power client out there. Simple Lee Beth. Everybody, we're so glad to have you here, and we want to encourage you right now to share this show on your timeline. Help us get the word out. I don't know if you've heard. But the algorithm is killing us, right? The Facebook algorithm really is just not friendly to business page videos. So we would love to call upon you, our friends, not just our fans, to share the audience, to share the show and get it out. Hey, look, we got a great show today. We're going to be talking about video editing and how to edit your videos to make them more watchable. We have a tremendous guest here today, but first, I want to talk about how you're going to make videos that actually make sales. To do that, you're going to get the YouTube guide for business owners. Go to YouTubeToolkit.com. Do we have that lower third anywhere we could put up on the screen? YouTubeToolkit.com. Teresa, maybe you can put that in the comment sections and we'll pin it. And download the Business Owner's Guide to YouTube. In this 10-15 page guide, you're going to see the strategy for growing a YouTube channel and YouTube videos specifically for your business, right? If you're trying to make videos that actually get people into your store, to your website to buy products, this is the guide for you. So I hope that you'll go check it out and support the show, support what we're doing over here. Let's talk about video editing. If you guys are ready, say yeah. I want to hear from you in the comment section. Beanie Draws, I'm speaking to you specifically. Jay Houselander is saying, Jay Houselander is logging in. Great to see you. Jason Webster saying, good morning, guys. I'm finally home to watch your show. And Pearly Q is logging in. What's up, Pearly? Great to see you, radio expert. Do you notice how I keep like moving in towards the mic? I keep like moving in towards my mic, and I have to stop that. Our guest today is Christina Fleming. She's a video production and filmmaking expert. She's had a passion for this industry since early childhood. She's worked as a CBS affiliate at a local TV station during primetime newscasts, very similar to our producer, Melissa. She now owns a boutique video production company, Murasaka Media, and was selected by the voters of San Diego as an A-list best photographer in 2012. So high five, Christina's live in the studio, and this is the first time we've ever done this. So great to have you here.
Looks great. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm hearing our video in the background.
So Christina, you did some stuff with CNN?
I'm sorry?
Was it CNN?
No. I worked for a CBS News Channel affiliate in Louisville, Kentucky.
You said news. That's why I thought CNN. Yes, that's pretty cool.
Now, are you guys able to hear Christina okay?
I can hear coming through on my side.
How about you guys in the audience on YouTube and on Facebook? Can you guys hear Christina okay? I want to make sure you can hear, because we can cut all this stuff out, as a matter of fact. I'm going to make a little note here. 9:16.
Yeah, just a little reminder, this is a live recording of a podcast. Just as a little reminder.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? I got to tell you this, guys. When it comes to podcasting, like live podcasting, it's all about the repurpose. It's all about the replay, right? It's all about getting that thing, getting that. And that has to do with editing. So, Christina, great to have you here. We're actually neighbors, and you do editing for some of the biggest channels out there. Now, I don't want you to have to say any names if you don't have to, but tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up at every single video marketing conference that I go to. And that's been the case for some years now.
Sure, exactly. I started off as a video production company, and I was doing corporate branding films for quite a while and really enjoyed it. And one time I was asked, hey, can you put on a workshop about how to YouTube? Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was kind of anti-YouTube, to be honest, because I didn't understand it or how it worked.
Right.
But I accepted the job, started researching it, and was fascinated about how people were marketing themselves on YouTube. And so I set forth on an experiment, and the experiment was, is it possible to create a YouTube channel from scratch, not tell friends and family, and build it up so that it was successful? And it actually ended up working. But in that process, I ended up going to conferences and meeting fabulous people, and they needed editors.
Right.
So we started editing for them, and lo and behold, we saw retention rates go up. So the first channel that I edited for was at about 30% retention rate. Okay. So people are watching about 30% of that one video. And through editing alone, we didn't change anything else, didn't change the content, didn't change the subject. The edits that we were producing for this person ended up hitting the 50 and 60% mark. And just with editing. So we said, can we do that again and again and again? And lo and behold, after working with many clients, it was true. We could influence it just with editing. And when you have higher retention, that means people are going to watch longer, see your message longer, and then YouTube specifically loves it.
So talk to us about those conventions, those editing tricks that you, and maybe not tricks, but strategies that you implemented to get that video up 20% retention.
Right. So the first thing we look at is we want to have something for the viewer to watch later, the purpose for watching later, a reason to keep on watching. So I have 3 strategies that I want to talk to you about today, but I also have a bonus one, so you're going to have to watch all the way to the end to get that bonus one. So see what I just did?
Oh, you just did it to me.
I did.
Oh my gosh. She's good. Witchcraft.
But more importantly, you've already done it in this podcast at the very
but first, right, and things like that, right? Stay tuned.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
So in languaging and how you speak to your audience and what you're saying and giving them a reason to watch all the way through the end. A lot of people will also try teasers. Maybe they'll take chunks from whatever is in their content and place it at the front. So you can do it through verbal words, as you've done. You can do it by putting a teaser in the front, and it just gives the viewer a reason to keep on watching to the end and a payoff. And it also helps with your thumbnails and retention to get that in the front, that satisfying feeling of I clicked on the right thing, I'm watching the right thing, I'm in the right place.
Wow, I love the idea of teasers because I see this all over Facebook specifically, but I'm seeing it a lot more on YouTube now, and this is where you sort of show the most exciting clip of your video, but you show it up front. So talk to us about how you know which clip to use, and aren't you spoiling the show?
It depends. You can also leave a cliffhanger in a teaser.
Okay.
But more often than not, what we do is we figure out what is the basic story that we're trying to tell, or the basic message that we're trying to tell, and then we pull the clips that match that match the thumbnail, that match the title.
Yeah, fantastic. Now you mentioned a few other things. You mentioned things like how to keep them watching, how to kind of say like, hey, I've got 3 tips, but first I've got this one thing. Doesn't that get old?
It can.
Like, wouldn't you guys agree? Like, if you hear that all the time, like it's going to sort of wear out. And how do you keep that fresh and alive?
I think it's just varying it up, trying some new things, trying some different strategies, seeing what works and what doesn't work.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to going out on a limb and trying something new. And I think that can kind of keep it fresh and alive and trying different methods, mixing it up too.
So that's fantastic. We're talking with Christina Fleming. She's a professional editor, works for YouTubers all over the place. Dean Linnell is out there saying huge takeaways here. I agree. And if you guys are enjoying what you're seeing on the show today, feel free to share it with your audience. Share the link, get it out there, and bring more of your friends into the show. So, Christina, what would you say are the biggest editing mistakes that you see video creators making today?
Sure, that would kind of play into my second kind of bucket of things that you can do, and that would be music.
Okay.
Music.
Talk about that.
Oh, it's a huge thing. So in music, it can really, really push forward a viewer in an edit, and you can do that in several ways. So, for example, let's talk about volume of music.
Okay, I love that.
Volume music is something very easy that people can really, really do themselves. And what we do is we listen to the audio of people talking compared to the volume of the music. If you cannot distinguish which level is higher, so say you have music playing and you have a person speaking, and you listen to it and you can't necessarily hear one over the other, then your music might be too loud and lower it a little bit. Exactly. And you want to have that music level just under that speaker because people will tend to click off if they can't hear and they can't hear properly. And so that's the number one thing that I see people making as a mistake is just putting that music up too high or right at the same level as the speaker.
Nick, do you ever see that? Do you ever struggle with music in your videos in terms of like how loud it is, or do you have a system for that?
I have a system for it. On mine, I'm not doing a lot of editing on my personal videos anymore, but and that's a new thing. But with that, when I was doing all of my edits, like I had kind of like a system where basically like I would come in and then I'd process my vocal track, and then after that I would come in and I would lay the music. And when I would lay the music, I would just kind of eyeball it in terms of the meter over on the side, the decibel meter.
Yeah.
And then take, like if my audio was like right at the top of the green, just getting ready to go into the yellow, then I would have my audio maybe at like 20 or 25% of that maximum. So yeah, that was kind of like my system, is just kind of eyeballing it in comparison to where my voice normally sits in the track.
Lily Tree is saying, music, I'm so bad at that. You know, I've got a few questions on music, and I want to talk a little bit about that. Do you guys struggle with music in your edits? I know that I did for a long time, you know, and I try to keep my volume down at like -30, even like -26. We're using Adobe Premiere. And that's good. It's good systematically. We try to treat the music as a character, sort of in the show. We've got some great questions coming in. If you have questions on video editing, there is nobody better. Christina Fleming is in the studio today. Our first live guest ever, and so that's really exciting. Now, I saw you spoke at ClamorCon, and just so you guys have some background, Christina and I met. Geez, what conference was it? Do you remember?
I think we met just at a gathering, a networking gathering.
Was it at the mastermind that we tried to do?
Yeah.
We started a meetup. For all the homeless people in the city of Vista.
pretty much.
Yeah. And it was like, so we had this meetup going on, and like we had some serious creators there. It was really cool.
Yeah.
But then we had a whole lot of just kind of like, oh, can I sit here types. And so we discontinued it. But I met there and I found out that you were doing some editing for some pretty prominent people, including friends of mine. And from that day, I've seen you at all the conferences. I even saw you at ClamorCon, which is incredibly exclusive, invite-only event. And you were teaching about editing, and that's when I went, bam, this is somebody that we need to hear from. So going on with music, and Norma, I see your question, and we're going to come back to that. I want to kind of keep going with music here.
Yeah.
Where do you find good music to use in your edits?
You know, I use licensing services. There's several out there that you can use. I know a lot of people use Epidemic Sound. MusicBed is another one that's popular, a little bit more pricey. They all have different pricing plans. So depending on what your budget is, you definitely need to take a look at the different pricing plans. And Soundstripe is another favorite.
Oh, okay. I haven't used Soundstripe. Now, I do want to remind you guys that if you go and download TubeBuddy, and you can go to thevideospot.net/1penny, and when you get that account, you'll get access to Epidemic Sound. You'll get tons of free music tracks.
Nice.
So let's put that, I'm going to put that into the comment section, because that is definitely a huge tool for you guys to use. Should we be using one music track or multiple music tracks, right? So if you've got a music track, it's like, oh, things are like mellow right now, but then things get exciting, right? So if you're a business owner, it's like you're talking about your product, it's mellow music. But then when you show the product, boom, it gets really exciting, right? So what is your take on using multiple tracks?
Right, definitely when there's a lull in your edit, to pick up the pacing, you can use a faster beat music, and it will instantly change the feeling, change the mood. And as we all know, music has different tones and different feelings. A lot of times in edits that we do, we try to mix that up, and we try to have a softer sound, or then a more, something with a maybe a jazzier beat combined with it, just to kind of pep it up. And it will actually trick your viewer's ear into thinking that it's something new, and something new starting, and something new coming.
Certainly works for me. Nick, what are your thoughts on using two different audio tracks? Do you do it? Do you not agree with it? Thoughts there?
So I've experimented with, and I haven't found like a difference in terms of like using different audio tracks versus using the same ones, like for the type of content that I make personally. But one thing that I've done is I've done to where like I'll change music. So like, let's say that I'm going through like a top 5 list of where sometimes I would change the music like for number 1 and then number 2. So then it would kind of kick off at number 2 and then kick off that number 3, so to speak. So it made each part like its own segment. If you had headphones on, that's the only time you'd really notice it. Then when I did the All Our Questions videos, for those I would definitely use multiple tracks because it was a different type of content. And with that one, it would typically be to where I would have the information coming out, and then I would do like a little segment within each one of those, and then I would have that segment have a different audio track for it, just to make it stand out from the rest of the stuff there.
Man,
now,
yeah, that's huge.
With that, with the audio, like sound effects, Christina, what do you think of sound effects in terms of
Great
like
question.
things moving the screen and whipping around and
Yeah, I think sound effects can be great if you're not going crazy with them and inserting them, every opportunity, but being selective.
Boing.
Yeah.
Why do you look at me? Why does she look at me when she talks about don't put them in? I know, because
I like them, just not excessively. There's that fine line.
I may have that issue. I may be that guy when it comes to sound effects. But I do So
That's hysterical.
Melissa knows how it works.
Yeah.
When are the best times to use sound effects?
I think when you want to emphasize something,
Okay.
or if you want to create a mood or a feeling, I think those are the most opportune times too.
Okay.
I think sometimes people just kind of get a little crazy with it and aren't aware of how that kind of comes off, and that can be a distraction to what you're actually trying to say.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, I agree with that, and that's something that you have to be looking at.
Is good to note as well is Simply Beth here also mentioned the idea that I totally agree with too. Let me know what you guys think, but they mentioned that music can also be great in terms of just branding in general.
Yeah.
Where the music that you use can be part of your brand, or even like theme songs, or just the style of music you use become synonymous with your content.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. Melissa, can you grab me an Owen video hat? Oh, my mic doesn't work, folks. I don't know why. I don't know why. Who can name this the show that this song came from? Ready? You guys ready? Thank you for being a friend. I'm just going to leave it there. Do you know? Don't say it.
Yes,
But
yes,
Melissa,
sure.
they're right in here. They're actually right in here, right up here behind you on the shelf. If you can name that show, I'm going to give you an Owen video hat. So put your comments in the comment section. I'm sure a few of you are going to get it. So I'm going to wait until I see a few. We've got a couple answers coming in already. So I want to hear from you guys on that, because sound effects can be important for your branding. In fact, Holly Gillen is asking that exact question. What about using sound effects as part of your branding? What would you suggest for that, Christina Fleming?
Sure, definitely. I think that can be played into your branding. Anything that can be done multiple times over and over that really works for your brand can be what is known, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So good stuff there. Holly Gillen has answered. How many of you guys know what song I just sang, what TV show it came from? Okay, so great stuff on sound effects. I want to go to some of the questions from the audience here, if we have time. Jeffrey Fitzgerald, Jeff in High Def, Air 5, amazing producer, by the way. You should be following Jeff in High Def. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He says another thing to look at is the actual audio waveform in the editor. Music swells and softens, and you can place the volume keyframes in different spots to raise and lower the effect.
Great tip.
That is pro level stuff right there. Lee Kelso is saying, remember Dr. Kelso from Scrubs? I see Lee Kelso, and that's what I think of. Music is a great tool to signal a change in topic.
Yes.
A well-placed stinger helps close one point and lead you to the next. Yes. Now, is a stinger is kind of like a transition piece?
Yeah, it's a short, maybe 10, 15, sometimes even 30 seconds that will transition one segment to another. And so when you are coming up and changing topic, as they said, and maybe it's an end of a scene, or maybe it's a new point that you're trying to make,
right,
using that stinger right at the transition point will tell your ear that something new is coming up. And once again, that leads the viewer through to have a longer retention rate, which is what we're talking about. So when you use a stinger systematically throughout your edit, it tells that viewer something new's coming, something's new coming, and I want to hear what that next thing is.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. We use stingers a lot. We're going to be using them a lot more in our new edits. We've got some new style videos that we're working on. And the big challenge that I've always had is like changing locations. Right? Is like, so we might be filming something at the courthouse just to get that view, but then next we're going to film in front of a blackboard or a whiteboard. And it's like, how do we make that transition? Your thoughts, Christina Fleming?
The music does it for you. So if you can find a song, I like to take the end of a song. That's my favorite thing to do. So maybe you can't find a piece of music that is 30 seconds that you like, or 10 seconds. I will actually take a full-length song and then go to the very end of it and use that and make my own stinger from the end of the song. And so just fade up a little bit at the end.
Fantastic. So we've got Simple Lee Beth is saying Golden Girls. Beanie Draws is saying, yeah, I think it's Golden Girls. Dean Linnell is saying Golden Girls. Yeah. And who had it on Facebook? Was it Holly? Holly also said Golden Girls. You are correct, sir. One of you is going to win an Owen video hat. I'm going to have Teresa pick the winner. And we'll announce by the end of the show. Simple Lee Beth is saying 90s cartoons had the best theme songs. Definitely memorable. Memorable. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So let's talk, more about these editing tricks, these editing conventions that we can use. How does someone who's got sort of a boring business use editing to get that message quicker? Should we be doing jump cuts? Should we be doing less jump cuts? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
So this kind of plays into what everybody was saying about using music as a transition. making your edit into segments. So segmenting your whole entire edit. And you can do this in any type of video, particularly business videos. You can do it with how-tos. You can do it if, even daily vloggers use this. So you can do it on the forefront with your scripting. So scripting out and chunking out different parts, different subjects as you go into your scripting mode. But if you haven't done that, maybe you're that one type of person who just likes to talk and go on and on and on. Then after in the editing suite, you can kind of pinpoint when you've stopped talking about something and you moved on. And so by dividing those up into different chunks and then using music, or maybe you're going to use a full screen graphic, or maybe you're going to use some kind of transition between the clips, you're segmenting the edit, once again telling the viewer that something new is coming. Something has ended, something is coming.
Yeah, those are the things I think that a lot of us who are in the business space, right? So, my background is in media. I went to Cal State San Marcos. I graduated in media. And, and my goal was to work in TV and radio, right? This is kind of like this is like 06, 05, like right as like there wasn't a YouTube back then. There wasn't like this ambitious goal. And so, my goal was never to be an amazing filmmaker. It was always to just create great content. And to get that out there, and editing, I think, is a big part of that. Let's talk about we talked about biggest mistakes. Let's talk about like the must-dos. What are some of the must-dos of a good video edit needs to have?
Oh, like I said, definitely know your audience and know what they like. You need to be able to recognize what your audience will watch. And by taking the time to look at, this is my fourth bonus kind of tip, is to go into your retention graphs and to look to see how long people are watching and to see where they're dropping off. Those would be probably 100% a must do. Okay, so what do? You go into your your analytics and you're seeing that people are dropping off, right? And by the way, Social Media Examiner just did a big release on this in terms of Facebook. And view retention and things like this. So definitely something to look at. What are you looking for and what can you do? Like you're noticing these drop-offs, what do you do? Right. So I always tell people to focus on one piece of that retention graph. So you see this huge graph and it's your whole entire video kind of in a wave form of where people are dropping off. And so you look for, the first thing we do is we look for consistencies or themes, things that are commonly occurring. And so every time you do a long rant of talking for 30 seconds and nothing else is there, no visuals, no music, nothing, and you start to see people kind of dropping off dramatically, your graph just kind of goes at a diagonal. Then that's probably a point where you want to look at and see if that's occurring every time that you talk for 20 to 30 seconds in other videos. And do some comparison there.
And make changes, like either add graphics, like you might want to add overlay graphics. Correct? When it comes to adding graphics, there's what's called a Ken Burns effect, right? Ken Burns effect, right? For those of you guys that don't know, Ken Burns, globally recognized documentarian, the Civil War, World War II in color, did some great stuff. He's known for taking images and sort of applying like a slow motion to them. So the image, it's a still image, but it might be on the screen for a minute or more, but it's moving, it's parallaxed. Do you find, knowing that, what's the best way to do images inside of our edits?
I don't think there's a best way that encompasses everybody. It's going to depend on your audience, 100%. You could have a person that's talking about business video as yourself and another person talking about business video, but you have two different audiences and they're going to respond differently. And then it plays into your branding. Is that your brand? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So you have to really tailor it to what you want to represent. So I wouldn't say that there's a best way to do it, but there is probably a best way to do it for your particular audience.
What about creating pace, creating cadence, like a rhythm?
Right. And that can kind of play into your branding as well. So I like to use the music and the graphics and the transitions all encompassing in one to pace my videos. So if I'm watching it back, this is what we do. We kind of wait to see if it feels slow, if it feels like it's not going fast enough. I like to put the faster beats personally at the first 30 seconds at most, just to make sure that people are getting what they want. But then all the way through the edit, I want to make sure that the pacing is equal or even going up faster in little inflections, just to get that person all the way through. But definitely I'm looking for lulls to see when that kind of slows down.
Christina, one thing that I love that you just said, and for any video editor that's watching this right now, or somebody that's looking for video editing, this right here is what tells me that Christina is like amazing at what she does, because she just said that you feel it. And this crazy sounds. As crazy as it sounds, like when people are editing videos, they're trying to, you know, kind of science it out, so to speak.
Right.
But really, at the end of the day, it does. It comes down to like feeling it and just knowing like, okay, that's been on the screen for like a second and a half, way too long, and I need to cut that out. Or man, that just didn't feel right at that cut right there. I need to let that breathe just a little bit before I drop that next one in. Like that right there is such an important part of video editing. I just wanted to high five you on that real quick.
Thanks. And that's so important because
I'm sitting over here quiet, listening to everything you're saying. I'm like, oh, she's killing it. It's so much good. You know, thank you for all the stuff that you're sharing right now.
You know, I have a team of editors that work with us, and about 8 editors right now. And so, making the consistency between all those editors on one channel is a challenge in itself. And a lot of times when I'm giving feedback to make sure that these things are consistent for that channel, and maybe I'll have a couple editors, different editors working on them, we talk about feeling a lot. And it is watching it, how does it feel? And to be able to describe feeling is not an easy task, but we try to put those in verbal words. You know, it just feels too long. It feels like it's too short. It feels like it's happy or sad. So definitely important.
And I know that for people like me in the business community, it's not something that we like to talk about, right? We want to cut and dry. If you do this, 3 people will walk into the shop, you know? And feeling the edits. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'll edit, and I don't edit a lot. First of all, if I'm editing, somebody screwed up, right? Somebody messed up. Somebody's going to get a demerit, right? If I'm editing. But when I edit, I mean, this is why I don't edit, because I'll like listen and I'll be like, cut, you know, and I'm like, cut. Oh, and I'm just, you know, and I'm like Bruce Almighty in that scene, you know. I feel it. And you just know, and I think part of this comes from watching media, right? Do you watch other channels to get a sense of who's doing what and applying it to your clients?
Yes, definitely. I watch everybody that's within the genre of my current clients, and then my passion thing is to find those channels that are the most obscure channels. That nobody has really ever heard of, they don't understand, and that are just fascinating or killing it. And I like to watch those and find those. TV, movies, I watch it all, and it just all plays into it. But I agree with you. You should be watching other people's content to see what people are doing, and to see how you can learn from that.
Amazing. Great stuff. We're going to go to questions from the audience right now. If you're enjoying the show, share it on your timeline or tag someone that you know that would love to watch this content. So we've got a question. We've got Tolis has got a question, and Norma has been so patient. Norma is asking the big question here, which is, which editing software is best? And I'd like for all 3 of us to kind of say our answer and why, and sort of we can move this one a little bit faster because it's such an open question, right? There's so much preference. Yeah, it's debatable. So Christina, let's start with you and we'll work our way around. What is your favorite editing software and why?
My personal favorite that I use is Final Cut Pro X. Just because I used to use Premiere. I know. But I like it. I enjoy it. I can work faster.
It's good.
But my team, they do both. I have people who do both. So we actually use both as part of our services. And so I'm not opposed to it. They just kind of do different things.
Isn't it hard, though, to have like a consistent product when you're using 2 different softwares? Because Final Cut, to me, has a whole different feel to it.
No, I wouldn't say the end result, no. You do get tricky into plugins and things that you might be working with. But, you know, we've been doing this for a while now. We haven't had an issue using 2 different formats.
It's interesting to know. Okay, so Nick, your thoughts, best editing software and why?
I think best editing software comes down to the person. I recommend, anytime somebody asks me that, I recommend them to install different software. Install trials of the different types of software and see what is kind of intuitive to you. But I would recommend, like, if you are starting out, like, it's good to start with something basic so you can get an idea of like how all this stuff works. But on the flip side, because tutorials are so freely available on YouTube, I also recommend that if you're going to be doing this stuff to where you think, hey, in the future, I might want to have a more pro level software so that I can have all of these different options available. Go ahead and start learning that software now. Go try Final Cut, try Vegas Pro, try Premiere, try DaVinci Resolve, and just kind of try all the different softwares and say, okay, which one of these makes the most sense to me so that I can commit to learning it so that as I progress through all this stuff that I can start doing more complex edits if I choose to.
Love it.
Yeah, those are great points, Nick. And I'm gonna be a little bit more cut and dry, and I'm gonna tell you, for any of you beginning, it's Camtasia. You want to use Camtasia, right? It could do screen shares. It can record your webcam. And then once it's done recording, it puts it all into a timeline for you where you can edit the screencast separately than the video that you just recorded.
Yeah.
You can also import your video.
That's so helpful.
Yeah, to it. Now, it doesn't work great with like MTS files. I mean, it will, but it's like an M4Vs.
Convert it then.
Yeah, you've got to convert them first. That's an extra step. So I think if you're just beginning, Camtasia is the way to go. But my personal favorite, like when I can just jam on Adobe Premiere. You know, I was a Final Cut user for years. When Final Cut 10 or X came out, I decided to switch over to Adobe.
Wow. Yeah.
And you just make the decision, right? Like there's so much power in just making a decision and then deciding that you're going to learn that editing software and you'll switch it once you get 10,000 subs. Or, you know, Nick, would you agree? Like you just got to like make a decision sometimes and go.
Without question. And that's why I think it's important for somebody if they're coming into it, they're like, hey, you know, this is something I'm going to commit to. I'm going to be making a lot of business videos. I'm going to be making a lot of like YouTube videos for, you know, entertainment or whatever purpose it is. If it's something that you think this is something I'm going to be doing for a while, just pick something and commit. I mean, still download trials because the trials, you know, they don't cost anything.
Right.
So download the trial, see what feels best to you. But then once you get that part done, just find something that you can grow into. In my opinion, instead of having something that you're going to get used to using, to where it's going to be difficult to transition from that thing that's being used to or that you're used to using into something that's going to basically take the I don't know if the wheels off is the right word, but where it's going to take your limits off.
Well, and you know, this is a big problem I think for us creatives is that we have this idea at 2 in the morning and so we wake up and we execute on it, right? Right? You know, like just like this morning, I'm like, I have an idea. In the 5 minutes before Christina gets here, let's change the entire set, right? And it was Melissa that's like, no, let's just do it the regular way. You know what I mean? And we'll switch it for next season. So, you know, making that decision and just kind of sticking to it, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
Scott Donald is saying, I love what Peter McKinnon is doing on YouTube. Yeah, well, hey, pal, welcome to the party. You know, the dude's insane.
Yeah.
You want to see another great editor is Cody Warner is excellent. And he's saying Jesse Driftwood on Instagram is also doing some great stuff.
Nice.
Harley Pebbly is saying, editing is a craft, a combination of art and science. I agree. You got to know where the manuals and the levers are, but then it all comes down to when you can
have different styles too.
Yeah. It's, you know, I was talking with your brother Nick at Vid Summit, and we were saying that the beauty of editing is what's left on the editing room floor, right? It's like jazz. It's the beauty is the notes that aren't played that really create that beauty. And so think about what you could cut, you know, as you're editing. Now we have some Kevin the window cleaner saying I use is it KineMaster?
No, I haven't heard of that.
KineMaster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, KineMaster. Yeah, KineMaster is a mobile app, and it's Kine based on Cinema, like cinema. Yeah, so it's KineMaster, and yeah, KineMaster is awesome for mobile. Filmora has a mobile app. It's great.
Filmora
is also a really good one for mobile as well. Yeah, tons of, you know, that's something that I think is really cool is, you know, there's so many mobile creators. Like my brother started his mobile channel. There's so many mobile creators. I didn't realize how many people are creating this stuff on their phone. And there's so many people out there that are doing this stuff on, like, you know, on a screen this big, or on a tablet. It's absolutely incredible.
It is, and editing on your phone is easier than it's ever been. You know, I was that guy editing on my phone before it even made sense. You know, you edit it inside iPhone, and then you take that clip into iMovie, edit it there, and then bring it into Videorama and edit it there, right? And I would be like, I made a video in 7 hours. You know what I mean? Like your whole life is, like your kids are grown, you know? They call you by your first name. They're like, Owen, welcome to dinner. You know what I mean? Look at the rabbit I killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even know them. Robert Yachtman is asking, Robert, great to see you, by the way. He says, do either Final Cut or Adobe Premiere work with VSTs? I don't know. I'm married. I'm clean.
Yeah, VSTs are plugins.
Got it.
So, I think Premiere. Yeah, I think Premiere you're fine with VSTs. Final Cut, I'm not 100% sure.
You can use plugins.
If you can with Vegas Pro, but I'm pretty confident. they can work in Vegas Pro, I'm really confident that you'll be able to use them.
So a VST then, a VST is like maybe like an overlay, a third-party file that you can bring in. Is that kind of what we're thinking that is? I'm not sure. It sounds like a TV term to me.
A VST would be like a third-party plugin. So like let's say, for example, that you were wanting to treat your audio as an example. Like you wanted to treat your audio, you wanted to add some type of like noise removal or something like that to your audio. Then you wanted to use like a third-party VST plugin that would allow you to do that. If you wanted to go outside of like the Adobe Suite, for example.
And
like I have one called like Deverberate, I think is the name of it. And with that one's a VST plugin, and that one's inside of Vegas Pro.
And plugins can be used in Final Cut too, although sometimes they don't talk to Premiere. So you have to be pretty particular on what you're buying if you're going to purchase those outside of the program.
Yeah, and I'm sort of a believer in having an editing system for your Mac, for your PC, and then for your phone, right? I'm a big believer in make the decision, just pick one and go. That's why I love Camtasia, because it's PC and Mac, right? But if I want to really do stuff, it's Adobe, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even have it on my PC.
Right tool for the right job.
Yeah, exactly. Right tool for the right job. And then like when it comes, it's like, which do I use? You know, you just have already made that decision.
Yeah.
Tolis Dokianos, one of our good friends, Tolis, great to see you. It was great to see you at Vid Summit, is asking, do you have an example of a video that you worked on where you made a big difference? Is there any video, and maybe that's like too on the spot, but is there a video you could maybe recommend that we watch, or a channel that we watch that you could say, hey, they're doing editing really well?
As far as I've done or I've worked with, or?
You can. I don't want to put you in that corner. Nobody puts baby in a corner, folks. But I also know that you want to keep some of your clients private. So maybe some examples of where you made a simple edit that just made all the difference in a video.
I can actually tell you something that was the opposite, and it is a client that I can tell you about. I have these clients, Andrew and Pete, and Andrew and Pete do content marketing videos, and they do it in a very creative and clever way. And they were challenged by another channel to make an 80s style video, and we mean full-on 80s style. We had the black bars on the side of the video. We turned it into this yellow grain, and it looked just like it was a VHS tape from 1985. However, the content that they did was a very monotone, dry talking head video. They were in suits and everything. They had the whole thing done. And I edited it for them. I said, you know what, guys? I was like, I hate to tell you this, but people are not going to watch this. What do you mean? It's hysterical. It's fun. Yeah, it is. But I'm telling you, you're going to get a retention probably less than 30%. And when they came back at a 25% when they've been hitting 50 and 60%.
Wow.
And so it was actually the opposite effect, but they were doing it for comedic, challenge results.
Yeah.
But it actually did exactly what we thought it would. It would flop in retention.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I'm a big fan of the Andrew and Pete content. I get their Chatbots. I think they're one of these companies that are doing it right. And I'll tell you what, they're very niche, folks, right? If you've got a business, if you're a coach or a consultancy of some kind, fitness coach, business coach, marketing coach, life coach, Andrew and Pete I think is a great resource because they're social. They have a business.
Yes.
They're not necessarily trying to get to 100,000 subs. Or I'm sure that'd be wonderful. And they're doing stuff to drive traffic back to their offerings. Even their chatbot says work with us.
Yeah.
And I just love that. Karen Brake Barge, the multi-level master. Karen Brake, you need to go watch the video I did yesterday on my channel. It was designed for you. But Karen is asking, can you provide an example of video people to go check out and watch as examples of good, good editing?
Sure. I want to go in a little bit in the TV realm, if that's okay.
Yeah, great. Oh, it's cool.
Somebody I've been watching right now, our show I've been watching right now is This Is Us. It's a fabulous show right now that kind of goes back and forth. They do a lot of different times.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great example of understanding how you can make content that's not linear in time. From point A to B, they kind of go from point A to C to Z to B. And I think that's an excellent example of how to use time in the sense of edits. I also like them because of the types of cuts that they choose with the music. They use music beautifully in that show.
Awesome. I love watching good shows.
Oh yeah.
I'm really into like this new Tony Danza show. Well, I should say really into, meaning I've watched 2. But that for me, that's huge, right? So Tony Danza's in a new show with Josh Groban.
No way.
Yeah.
I gotta see this.
And Josh Groban's fantastic. I don't know if you guys, he's an opera singer. Right?
I gotta see this.
And he's actually a Christian singer. And he's doing this funny show with Tony Danza. Yeah, it's a neat new show, and I love to discover some of these new shows, but I love the way they're telling stories in that as well. So really great stuff. My good friend Graham Hoffman is saying, what are your thoughts on having videos follow the same format like Nick? Does it get repetitive, or is it important more for branding than for binging? Amazing question, Graham Hoffman. Your thoughts? Do we keep it the same? Do we change it up every time?
I'm on the fence on this because I've seen it work really, really well with some people in their audience. And it always goes back to how your audience responds, because some people would probably just have a fit if Nick changed his format and it wasn't their usual format that they go. Yeah.
From time to time I do it and have a fit.
And I will. And I will.
So there's some times where I'm like, you know what, that's okay to have the same because that's your jam. That's what you do. But there are some situations where I think the creator kind of gets burnt out from it. Yeah. Or whoever is creating these and just kind of wants to mix it up. So I think in those ways, why not? Why not try little things? But I would say proceed with caution, particularly if you have an audience like Nick's, who he's shaking his head saying, yeah, my audience doesn't like it. Maybe just do little baby steps so it's unnoticeable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you always...
Also, like with mine... in particular, like when I put those out, like people will be like, oh, I was expecting something else, but it usually does come off, like it is usually well received. One thing that I like to remind people of when they are making decisions like that is it also is dependent on what it is that you are doing, like what season you're in with your content. Like for example, if you grow your channel, then you're going to be targeting new people more than you are going to be targeting your subscribers, so to speak. Like that's going to be who, basically you're going to be trying to pull in a lot more people than you are just making videos for the people that may or may not get notifications, right? So if you're going to be doing that, then they're not going to be exposed to it as much as the people that have been with you for the last, year and a half or 2 years.
So are you saying that on...
You got to make sure that as part of your content strategy that you're kind of, working both of those out in terms of who you're making the content for. But as far as, the content being repetitive, sure, some people are going to burn out with the same type of stuff, but then you have other people. Look at Philip DeFranco, for example. He'll get a step and he'll get a format and he'll stick with that for a really long time until something changes to where he feels that he has to, transition out of that.
Good point.
Any thoughts there?
No, I agree. I mean, that's why I'm on the fence about it, because there's a lot that plays into it as far as whether or not that something's going to fit. And so you take into consideration your audience, your branding, and is it right? And then, of course, I think, number one, the creator has to be happy with what they're putting out there.
Yeah. Slow, incremental changes over time. Introduce little dips. Use your community tab to let people know, hey, I've got a new thing coming up in my video this week. All great advice from the master editor, Christina Fleming. Christina, how do we stay in touch with you and follow the work you're doing?
Sure. You can go to my website. That's murasakimedia.com. And hopefully we'll get some more content on a YouTube channel on some of these great tips.
Could you say the URL again one more time?
murasakimedia.com.
Now, how did you get that name?
It's Japanese for purple. And I like the Japanese culture of timelessness and how clean and fresh things, and I'd like to translate that into my videos. And then I'm a fan of purple.
We need to go get sushi in downtown.
We do right now.
They got a great new place, out there. We're gonna go get sushi. Great to see you folks on the Business of Video podcast. If you enjoyed the show, type 5 into the comment section right now. That will subscribe you to the show, and you can join us again next week. Folks, we have got some big guests lined up. On Halloween, we have Judy Fox of Fox Rocks, LinkedIn video sensation. Nice. And the week after that, December 7th, Melissa Maker is coming on the show. She just hit 1 million subscribers, and she has a $1 million cleaning business based on the channel. She's a phenomenal creator.
Love her.
You know her?
I do.
Oh, fantastic.
I do. Cute baby, too.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, totally. That's what being a part of the community is all about. I love it when we all know each other. You know what I mean? It's super fun. Nick, thanks so much for being here, buddy. What are you working on this week? How can we follow you?
Right now, I'm actually working on my visa, but you can follow me at nickniman.com. That kind of all roads lead to Rome in that situation, but I'm actually taking the next day and a half off to go work on some visa stuff for my time here in Thailand. So
nice.
Fun. I'll be kind of MIA for the next day and a half.
You do that. You sort of do that every year, don't you? Or every couple of years?
Every couple of months, actually.
Yeah. I know it's a busy time for you. Enjoy that, and folks, enjoy making videos. It could be worse. It could be a lot worse. Go make videos, get an audience, make sales, and join us next week on the Business of Video podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for for listening to the Business of Video podcast. If you like the show, give us a review on iTunes or share this episode on social media now. Join us next time on Facebook Live. Just visit businessofvideopodcast.com and subscribe to the newsletter updates. This podcast is brought to you by Tuber Tools and BizTubeAcademy.com.